Hey everyone, Jones here, and welcome back. Today we are going to have an oral video. Not that kind of oral. A-U-R-A-L. Oral. You know, sound. Because today's video is about my feminine voice. Now, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you may notice that I don't sound super feminine. There's a reason for that. So during my early years of dressing, I tried my best to be as close to 100% as possible. As close to 100% of being a real woman as possible. Like, I tried to, dress and kind of wear pads and shape my figure and kind of move and, try to speak with, like, feminine inflections and try to, do, like, all these things, And one of the things that I've tried to do for years, is develop a feminine voice. So I was afraid of talking to anyone, interacting with anybody. Anytime I went shopping, I only went to self-checkouts because I only spoke with a male voice. I didn't want to talk to anyone and, out myself then and there. So I tried really hard to try to, find a voice, develop something that I could use to actually speak with people. And my first attempts were terrible. So some of my early attempts involved, talking kind of higher up, just sort of, but we'll see, the problem with, talking at a higher pitch is it sounds a little fakey, it's kind of airy. It's just not a good voice. Don't do it. So I thought, okay, what if we go as high as we can go? We'll raise the pitch just below our falsetto range and talk there. So if I go to my falsetto and just kind of bring my voice out like this, then I have this voice. And this voice I thought was kind of cool at the time, but the problem is that this wasn't a voice that I could really jump into on command. If I tried to, I always ended up kind of coming lower, or going too high and entering my falsetto. So I liked this voice at the time, but it just wasn't a practical voice at all. So I don't know, I had these ideas of what to do, based on things that I read or videos that I saw. And kind of the problem with a lot of feminine voice videos or blogs or what have you, the problem is that because you're manipulating things inside your throat, things that you can't see, muscles that you aren't necessarily consciously aware of being there, of moving, can even control. A lot of people don't really describe things all that well, or it's such a hard thing to describe, what exactly is it you're doing in your throat. So so a lot of those things I felt were kind of useless. I couldn't really make sense of any of it. And I saw a lot of different videos and tutorials about how to develop a voice. And some of them seemed okay, some of them I wasn't too convinced about that being the way to do it. I read about how resonance is something that you want to do. You don't want to raise the pitch, you want to adjust the resonance of your voice, make it actually... Because doing that will add a feminine tone, a feminine quality to your voice, and kind of, as a side effect, raise the pitch as well. So I learned how to adjust the resonance of my voice. And how I did this was, instead of going up my throat, I went down. So it's kind of a strange thing. I kind of visualize. So again, I have found this to be a really annoying thing because some people don't really describe things all that well, and I don't know if I can describe it all that well either. But what I've kind of noticed as far as resonance goes is, when I speak, I feel as if I'm talking right here. But to adjust, to go to a lower resonance, what I did was, at the time, I kind of pitched I visualized my voice being pitched from the back of my throat, and then I would go down a couple steps. It's, again, that's the best way I can describe it. So the way that I kind of visualize it is, I am pitching my voice from the back of my throat and down a couple steps. I know that sounds weird. But I just kind of visualize a little kind of marble or bead or something kind of here, and then just kind of yank it back to the back of my throat, and then just kind of pull it down. It sounds bizarre, but that's literally what I visualize. So here you're hearing just my normal speaking voice that you've heard in every video thus far, and then here is the voice that so this is the altered resonance voice. This is the voice that I used this voice for a good year, because it sounded really cool. It sounded so different in my head. It sounded really cool in recordings and videos that I made of myself, and I love this voice. This was a voice that I used for a good year. I trained it and practiced with it, and I eventually got to the point So I can't do this as easily like now because I'm so out of practice with a lot of my voices. But I used to be able to just kind of like, you know, switch, jump between this voice and my normal voice, just like mid-word, mid-sentence, like really easily. And I kind of did it right there now. And I practiced this voice every single day because I was really dedicated about voice training back then. And this voice was one that I used like all the time. I trained it to the point where I could use it for a full day. A couple of days, sometimes I would wake up in the morning and I would be speaking in this voice because I practiced it to the point where it had somehow become my natural speaking voice. And it was like really cool. And then I started panicking because I was afraid of that my voice was stuck and I wouldn't be able to get it back. But but yeah, so this was a voice that I used for a good year, and I liked it at the time. I thought it was pretty good. But then I started incorporating a spectrogram into my voice training. A spectrogram is something that you can use to tell you, it'll give you like the pitch readings. And I found out that this voice actually isn't as great as I thought it was, but I still like the voice. Like this is the voice that I will like naturally jump to if I'm like speaking like in public or something. If I want to. Other times I'll just use like my normal. Other times I'll use my normal voice. Yeah. So again, just kind of for fun, for comparison. Normal voice. Altered resonating voice. Resonating voice. Normal voice. Resonating voice. Normal voice. And it was kind of cool, just having this voice that sounded different and kind of had this like sort of altered quality to it. And I liked it a lot, but with the spectrogram, I kind of learned that okay, this voice isn't as great as I thought it was. So I kind of abandoned it, unfortunately, which sucks because I did kind of like it. I do use it on occasion, but I'm just so out of practice that in general, I just stick with my normal voice. So you may notice that in all my previous videos, this is the voice that I speak with. This voice is very, very close. This voice is just like a step higher than my normal male voice. When I present as Jones, I just kind of naturally speak just a little bit higher. Just kind of a force of habit, really. But I don't do anything. I don't do any like throat gymnastics, like vocal muscle gymnastics to get my voice to like do something different. So another thing that I find really annoying about a lot of like the videos that I've heard about like a lot of videos of like trans women who talk about how they found their voice is that they don't show you what their original voice was. It's like, oh, that's not me anymore. I don't want to use that voice. This is my current voice. Well, I mean, if you're doing a teaching lesson, you really should show the before and after. So it took me a while to actually find a person that had an original voice that sounded really similar to mine. And their female voice sounded really good. And so they talked about going into the head voice. Now, the head voice is a singing term. So men speak in what is called the chest voice. The chest voice is you're speaking kind of like lower, kind of down here. This is kind of where your voice is like kind of pitching from, and it has this kind of like kind of sort of gravelly quality to it. It's like really rough and deep, and this is where like the male voice comes from. So the voice that I use for Jones is actually this. It's my chest voice, just a little higher. It's not like fakey high, but it's high enough to like kind of make me feel better about my voice. But it's still a chest voice. Women speak in what is called the head voice. It's pitching from the head. The reason it's called the head voice is because if a woman puts her hand on the back of her head and starts speaking, she'll actually feel the back of her skull like resonating. Yeah, it doesn't work for men, only women. And then there's also the falsetto, which I'm pretty sure everybody knows what a falsetto is. It's the Mickey Mouse voice. Yeah, so I actually have a really well-developed falsetto. I go really high or like really low. Again, just because of my singing, I have a really, really well-developed falsetto. Which is actually good because the falsetto is what you use to it's what I use to be able to kind of train those like upper register muscles to make getting into the head voice a bit easier. So when I read about the head voice, it was kind of tricky because a lot of vocal coaches and things like that, people like that, don't believe that the male head voice exists. They believe that men have the chest voice and the falsetto. That the falsetto is the head voice. Like the male head voice doesn't exist. But no, it does. the male head voice does exist. So men have, this raspy chest voice. Women, their head voice is like, has no raspiness to it. It has no graveliness to it. It's very, very clean, very airy, very, very crisp. It's a good voice. It's a very, very, I don't know, just a very, like, clear toned voice. And that's what I want. That's what I want to try to get. So the head voice, this is the voice that I want to try to use. This is the one that I want to try to make my natural speaking voice, if I can. Now, the head voice it's a weird thing. If you want to learn more about the head voice, watch videos of male vocal coaches. Female vocal coaches, they can't tell you how to get to your head voice. Like, I tried watching their things, I tried doing what they suggested, it doesn't work. Male vocal coaches who have their male head voice will be able to show you the nuanced way of how to find it. Okay, it's bizarre, but once you can locate it, it's so cool. It sounds amazing. So my head voice is something that I cannot jump into it. Okay, it's not at all like the resonating voice that I can just jump into whenever I want. So, like, these muscles I've like barely trained. I don't have the ability to jump into it on command. Or even just like thinking about it. I have to like kind of like shut my body down, shut my brain down, and just kind of focus intently, just concentrate intently on just this visualization I have where I can like move. I don't know how I do it. Like, I know I fault people for not being able to describe how they find their voices, but like I can't fault them because I don't know how to describe this. Like, I'm moving muscles that I didn't even know I could consciously control. I'm sorry, like, I don't know how to describe this. The best thing I can do is just suggest watch male vocal coaches talk about finding your head voice and see if that helps. Because I found mine by a fluke. I just, like, was singing weird and stumbled on it. But I'm sorry, without any further ado. Okay. So, again, normal male speaking voice. Okay, so this voice here is my head voice. You may notice that it has a much more different quality compared to the chest voice. This voice has it rings out just kind of very clearly. It kind of lacks a lot of the graveliness. I still have just a little bit of it because I'm not quite there yet because I'm so just unpracticed. But this gives you a really good idea of just where the head voice is. It's slightly airy. It's much more cleaner. It just has like such a good tone, and this is the voice that I want to practice. This is the one that I want to turn into my normal, natural female speaking voice. When I finally do transition. This voice, it sounds so good. It sounds so cool, and I love it. I really, really love it. And yeah, unfortunately, I can't really hold it. I can't maintain it for that long. I'm just that unpracticed. But it's cool. Like the head voice, like men, like we do have a head voice. We can learn to access this voice. I don't know much about what these muscles are in my throat. I would suggest watching videos to learn how to do this. This is the voice that I really want to use. And, I tried a bunch of different voices throughout the years, and I liked them at the time. Especially the resonating voice. The resonating voice is, this voice is still this is like my favorite voice. It's one that I used for years. It's one that I would wake up in the morning speaking in it. And it was so exciting. It was just amazing, and I love this voice a lot. But, I just grew comfortable. Just kind of comfortable in my body with my voice, with everything. Just kind of being around my friends and feeling accepted. That I didn't really feel the need to have to change anymore. I was fine the way I was. Which is why in all my videos I just speak in this voice. I don't sound especially feminine, but it's a conscious choice. It's not because I can't do it. I can. I absolutely can. I just don't feel the need to. But attitudes change over time, and since transitioning is once again something that I do want to do, we are probably gonna have to try to practice our voice again. And maybe sometime down the road, we'll be speaking in our head voice from now on. But yeah, I just thought that this was kind of cool. It's kind of a little comparison of all my voices. So again, here's like my Jones voice. Here's my normal male speaking voice. Here's my resonating voice. And it's really cool just having these voices, being able to just kind of switch on and off, like on commands. Like I'm not kidding. There was a time when I could just like jump into this like nothing. Just like mid word, like mid syllable, just switch, because I had the muscle memory just that figured out, that down. And I love this voice for years, or for like the year that I used it, but I needed something better. And so we're trying to change our voice, change it from from this to this. This is the voice that we do want to use eventually, and I think we'll get there. I do think we will get there with practice and training and everything. But it'll definitely take time. I mean, everything takes time. The most important thing to do for your voice is don't overdo it. Don't keep practicing your voices over and over and over. Like, stop, okay? Don't go more than like 10 minutes. Not even that. Like, don't go more than like 2 minutes. Like for your very first day. And then just kind of stop. Okay? That's it. Next day, do it, maybe 3 minutes. Next day, maybe 4. You want to slowly build your way up. And for my head voice, the way that I do it is I have to speak in my falsetto. So again, like I'm so out of practice that I can only hold my falsetto for like a minute or two before my throat starts to get really sore. And then I just stop. I just stop because you never want to overtrain your throat, your voice. You don't want to do that because you risk damaging things. You risk, losing the voice that you could possibly have had. So voice training is really cool. It's definitely been one of the more exciting aspects of my transformation these past years. Just because it's so different. Like it's not a visual thing. It's an oral thing. It's an audio thing. It's an audible thing to actually hear myself talk like this, and it's so cool. I think so anyway. I think the voice. I think female voices are like being able to like switch your voice around, like doing voices. I think it's so cool. Yeah, no, like I don't want to just talk about I want to talk about like I always want to talk about my journey, my story. How I got to where I got to. How I got to where I am today. So I could just talk about the head voice, but no, it's more fun to talk about everything. My really bad voices, my kind of cool voice that I like a lot. It's everything. Like I want to share my whole story. I want to share everything, all my experiences, and if the head voice becomes something that I can master, then yeah, you bet I want to share this with you guys. So hopefully in the future I'll have like a progress video of me being able to switch from voice to voice like on command. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, no, I just think like this is super cool. Just being able to have this voice, have this thing that I can just switch to. It's fun. Like it's just I can't describe it. It's it's cool. Like having a voice is cool. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut it here, and thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to my different voices, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.